everyone. Today we are here with Fenix360 and we're going to discover together some of their amazing talents. The first one is Nadine.
Follow. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hi, welcome back. We're having a lot of energy. It's an amazing event that we're having here. We flew from all across the world. We flew from all the way from Israel, from Kenya, from Oxford, different places to be talking about this specific event. What are the things that you think that would be relevant for us to know about this conversation, to understand about what is the future? What is the mixture that this great technology, the blockchain, could have within us, the artists, the musicians, the painters, the entrepreneurs?
Well, I think what we just saw in the last few minutes is the absolute brilliance of artists that are perhaps not known internationally. And, you know, part of our mission is to make sure that artists really do have the absolute maximum audience they can with the maximum associated revenues. I mean, these guys are brilliant, right? They deserve to be known throughout the world, right? And we would love to participate in that, what could be a higher mission than to allow artists to actually bring their art to everybody that might appreciate it, right?
And is the internationalization, the universality that this technology and this platform provides, it's not only approaching the traditional European markets, but you're going to be traveling across Asia, Latin America, that you've been into the Middle East. How do you see blockchain changing, disrupting this just European or North American market into a more international and diverse one?
Well, the interesting thing about blockchain is it has so many aspects. Sometimes we all feel, wow, there's so much talk about it. Maybe there's too much talk about it. But then when you actually sit back and reflect on it, you realize that there's a reason there's so much talk, because it can change things in such profound ways. I mean, one of the reasons my dear partner Lance Ford and I would often say to each other, let's do a plan B. Let's actually find a way different from the traditional licensing of music to find a way to bring artists to the world. But until blockchain, plan B was not viable, because the traditional economic model for companies is you have investors, and those investors want the company to make the maximum amount of money, to retain the maximum amount of profits. So then how can you give it all away to the artist? And in a traditional company, if you had management such as ourselves who say the artist needs to get 95% of merchandise, 95% of NFTs, 80% of advertising, the traditional investor would say, well, we're not a charity. Why are you doing that? Why are you depriving us of the value of the company? In a blockchain company, the value comes from the scarcity of utility token, which we believe over time will happen. And I should just say the utility tokens, and you know this, Julio, better than anybody knows this, utility tokens are very, very different to just speculative coins. They're something which are used in a system, and if you have enough people using that system, they become scarce and they become of value.
It is such an interesting part that you mentioned in here, because we're going to be one of the first companies that has an actual value, a use case where people, where artists, the entrepreneurs, the painters, people that work in this industry will be able to exchange this utility token in favor for something else, for an action, for a concert, for having any action within this ecosystem. How do you see, or what do you think it would be the future if we would have to oversee it within 5 years, 10 years, even 20 years of the use of blockchain, if we manage to make it really decentralized, really cryptocurrency friendly, and very within the legal framework, not to step out of anything that is not necessary?
Well, you know, if you think about fiat currencies is known, traditional currency. You have a piece of paper which is printed, sometimes with backing, sometimes without backing, as we've discovered over recent years, right? But ultimately, it's a very old-fashioned thing. It's a rectangular piece of paper, right? Or perhaps a circular piece of metal, right? The fact of the matter is that crypto brings it into the century we're in, where things are electronic, where they are efficient, where they're swift, where they're recordable. And this is very, very important. You know, my starting on this journey with Lance was that I realized that we have artists who struggle to make a living. Most musicians, for example, play a gig at the local pub or on the road, and they get paid some inadequate amount of money, usually for the show, and then they try to sell merchandise. And I said, the merchandise selling at a gig is like having a shop open for 5 hours, and only during those 5 hours do they sell, and they only sell to the locals who can actually attend, right? I said, why can't they sell worldwide all the time, 24/7? And the answer is because it may seem simple to a business person, but to an artist that's focused on their art, they have to work out a creation of a website. They have to work out how to set up e-commerce. With cryptocurrency, although many people are intimidated because it's something new, the fact is it simplifies things, right? In our ecosystem, the artist does nothing other than determine what they want to sell, and then the coins go to them. When they want to cash them out, they can cash them out, etc. So I see this making first of all, the reach of the artist much more international, the ability of the artist to earn money much easier, and it's very, very profound changes. And the other thing blockchain does is it's the best for recording. You know, even the meager revenue that artists often earn is not properly recorded, always to their disadvantage. So we'd like to advantage them by having a simpler, more reliable system.
And this is part of the sharing economy, the circular economy. This is very relevant within the academic circles. Myself, that I've given lectures in Stanford and MIT, within United Nations, European Union, this has the true potential to be revolutionizing for the world in its entirety. How do you see in this way the applications of the technology of blockchain, if we could be more specific about it? When we talk about the technical aspects, which one do you think that would be relevant, probably highlighting on the DAO, the centralized autonomous organization, or on the smart contracts that it creates, and it creates the opportunity to automate different trades and transactions and musicians part out of it? Because this is one of the important side of it. It creates traceability, it creates accountability, it has a very high level of cybersecurity protection. Is there some areas that you think that we should highlight for the audience?
Look, you know, people use buzzwords like decentralization, but behind the buzzword, there's a very, very important concept, right? Which is that a centralized platform in which every artist, for example, has to conform to the dictates and the parameters of the platform, it's got a purpose, but it's not the ultimate way, right, that will suit the artist, right? We believe not only in it being decentralized through technology, but also being decentralized in content. We want the artists to be able to show themselves in the way they want to show themselves. We want them to be able to distribute, right, their app, right, which they can create within our app, right, to the people they want to distribute to. So I think what the combination of these wonderful decentralized technologies and a structure which allows, right, decentralized content means that everybody's doing what they want to do without the constraints of some central source saying, you must do it this way or you must do it that way, right? And this is one of the beauties, right, of this technology, is it really facilitates it.
How do you think that we're growing the company? What's our actions that we would have for the next month, for the next year, that the audience should know about it?
Okay, so we have created what we think is a very credible product. It's taken us 4 years of development, day in, day out, right, to get to this point, right? And it's not that we have been inefficient about it. We have, I think, absolutely extraordinarily talented, right, developers led by our team leader, John. They are really, really quite extraordinary. I would describe them as geniuses of it, right? Because it's very easy for us in our ignorant fashion to come up with an idea. They actually bring our ideas to life. So we've been doing this for 4 years and we've got a credible product. We're not stopping. And we're not stopping, A, because the product can get better itself, but B, because we'll keep on adding tools and revenue sources for artists. But now it's time to actually tell the world. Always a scary time because everything is insular, everything is sort of inward looking in the beginning, and then suddenly you have to say, hey world, judge us for what we are, right? We are bringing this to you. But the fact is, now is the time. So we've just done a launch in Mexico City, right? And
best city in the world,
right? Yes, best city in the world. And as you may or may not know, Julio, and you should know, right? It is the #1 digital download city in the world. I think actually, Spotify labeled it last year as the #1 download city in the world, right?
So yeah, send the message in Spanish and in French and in all languages to them.
So we started in Mexico City appropriately, right? We're now here in Munich with great joy, and I have to say that a lot of our funding has come from this region, from Germany, and we are very, very honored to have the support of our German investors. It's interesting because they have really been very loyal and very patient, right? Because it does take a while to develop this. And I think we have found those characteristics in this wonderful supportive community here. And now we're about to go to Asia. In fact, we'll be heading out next week. Next Friday, we are doing a launch in Singapore. Next Monday in Kuala Lumpur, right? Then we're heading to Africa. Then we're heading back to Jakarta. Then we're heading to London. Then we're heading to New York. So the idea is we're not looking to avoid the hard yards, as they say. We're not looking to avoid the hard work. We want to bring this message to the world, right? So it's understood. And so people start enjoying what we've created, give us feedback, tell us how we can improve it, criticize us. All of that is fine. At the end of the day, we want to create the perfect app for people to enjoy and for artists to benefit from.
Well, this was complicated, wasn't it? Do you actually get some sleep? Do you actually get some rest in the process?
Yeah, occasionally, right? But
3 hours a week.
I say I'll rest after we have 50 million users, which hopefully will be next week.
Hopefully it will. Well, thank you very much for this time, for, having this conversation, understanding what is the dynamics of blockchain, and inviting all the people that see us across the world, in Mexico, in Kenya, in Israel, all across it. Help us in here. We're going to create a great token economy for this blockchain system. Muchas gracias. Merci beaucoup. Toda rabba.
And I should just say in final comments that Julio was described as the Leonardo da Vinci of cryptocurrency. So his praise means a lot to us. Thank you.
Quite the opposite. Thank you very much. Thank you. And we will be continuing making research, investigation, academic understanding to try to expand these ideas worldwide. Let's go. Vamos!
And let us now please introduce Mr. Lance Ford, who is joining us live from New York, and he's the co-founder of Fenix360, and he would like to share